I'll be quick since we've been here for a while. So, hi, my name is Landon To start off, I'm going to define a couple of terms, so when I speak, you guys will actually know what's going on. A virtual currency is something that you can purchase online that itself holds no direct monetary value, but has been given some kind of value from a community or some other mechanic. And a targeted advertisement, some people actually didn't know what this was when I tried saying this. It's an advertisement targeted directly at some kind of demographic. So my topic is virtual currencies and their direct effect on the rise of underage online gambling. And I'll get into the controversy of this issue a little bit later, but I'm going to start with some background. So how many of you know the game Counter-Strike, Global Offensive? Okay, those of you know, it's a huge game. It's only rivaled by the other two largest games in the world, known as Dota and League of Legends. Well, this prevalency was not here a couple of years ago. In fact, it was actually below the old predecessor of the game, the original Counter-Strike, up until about 3 years ago when they introduced something called virtual skins. Basically, it was a way of customizing your weapon, and these skins were given value from the players. Since the introduction of those skins, its popularity has risen almost tenfold. It is now the third most played game in the world, rivaled again only by the two games that I've shown. This is a direct cause of these virtual currencies being used in gambling, mainly on professional matches, but also in certain blackjack games and otherwise. So again, my primary claim is that the prevalence of virtual currencies in popular video games, I'm going to focus directly on Counter-Strike for the sake of argument, but I can summarize it into more broader terms, is directly causing the rise of underage online gamblers. This can be proven through the rise of the online sites directly for Counter-Strike, things like CSGO Lounge, CSGO Raffle, sites that were barely existent prior to this. The direct advertisement of online gambling through professional sites done to these targeted at children, and the competitive scene itself becoming much more prevalent due to gambling being popular, getting to the point where they're actually supporting teams. So my first claim is in the rise of the online sites themselves. So 3 years ago, a website called CSGO Lounge opened. This is a site used for gambling on competitive matches in Counter-Strike. And when it originally was announced and was originally created, it was nothing. It made zero profit. It was basically a way of having fun with these worthless 4-cent, 3-cent skins. In the last 2 years, it has gone from this invisible site to a site worth over $84 million. With a daily income of over $40,000. Now, this doesn't seem like that much, but this is simply for holding a website with upkeep. That's it. Every day they're just making $40,000. Daily traffic has gone from something about 1,000 unique visitors per month to 2.5 million site visits per day with 100,000 unique site visits per day. Unique site visits per day. And so this data is from Worth of Web, by the way, which is an official website that allows you to get the value of websites. So this prevalence, this rise in underage online gambling, it's not unseen. You know, people like to gamble. It's fun. It's like, especially when you have this little skin that is worthless, but you could bet it on your favorite video game and you could see if you could win something. The legality of this is, it is gambling. It is wrong for an underage person, but because it's this virtual currency, this unmarked, indirect valued item, you're able to go on these websites and gamble with them. Me personally, I actually do this. I did this when I was 16 years old, which, again, underage, and I have not stopped since. This isn't really an addiction, it's more of a just, go along with the fight, but I have had extreme ups and extreme downs, but I'm not going to get into that. It's astounding. Like, you have this game. Oh, I'm going to skip on the second bit, sorry. So the second one is the direct advertisements through the competitive games. If you open up any competitive game of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, whether it be through the client, Faceit, ESEA, Twitch.tv, anything, the first thing you're going to see is a CSGO Lounge advertisement. Now, this is unheard of. This is directly targeted at the main player base, which is underage, because it is, unfortunately, a video game, and that's just how the demographic goes. And nearly every single competitive match that has been opened has had this advertisement for some kind of online gambling site. Currently it is CSGO Launch because they are the top, but whatever. So you cannot watch any competitive game without seeing this advertisement. In fact, the games themselves, on my third claim, are actually rising due to gambling becoming popular. You have this website, CSGO Lounge, that raises popularity in the game itself by allowing people to bet on it. This is a huge In fact, this is the game for most people. If you ask a large majority of the demographic, most of them say that they watch competitive esports because they want to gamble on it. Casters themselves will joke about the issue. Teams are sponsored by these online sites directly. The top tier team in the world, Fnatic, has directly advertised CSGO Lounge on their names. They receive a lot of their income from it, and in fact it actually funds most of their game houses, which allows them to practice. Sorry. Oh, and they also are getting to the point where they actually have logos on their jerseys. Now, this hasn't come with some backlash because, it is a bad thing. It's underage online gambling. ESEA, which is a popular client, recently came out and banned teams that are sponsored from esport, that are sponsored by gambling. They quote, and I'm paraphrasing, "We will not promote companies and websites that themselves promote minors gambling." Now, this shows that there is some kind of issue with it. These people morally are saying this is not right, but they'll still profit of it because, like I said, they're worth $84 million. I'll try to finish as quick as possible. Valve, the official company of Counter-Strike, came out and officially addressed the issue, banning one team for actually throwing a match due to gambling, and themselves said the issue is of great deal importance, but we still have to find some way to mediate it, or control it. Even though they don't agree with it, they have to find somewhere to control it. PC Gamer statement calls the entire issue troubling, stating the rise in CSGO, which is Counter-Strike, is due completely on underage online gambling and nothing else. So, just to summarize, just to use CSGO as an example, this game has become what it is today due to underage online gambling. And this is not just in Counter-Strike. You have your phones, you have some kind of app that lets you buy a little microtransaction and roll a slot machine and perhaps win something. This is becoming common practice in almost every single video game, and people are just letting it happen. I'm trying to find some way to summarize it, but I can't. That's my presentation. I just don't want to go way over. Awkward finish, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. I need about 10 more minutes.
All right, well, I do see a proposition, although the two times you presented the proposition, you injected into the proposition either some narrative to explain what you were talking about or some conditional statement. And so if I was going to say, well, what is the proposition, I would have to do some editing to figure out what your argument is. You need to be careful about that. There's a preview of the structure. I think you want to use some numerical signposting in the preview. That would be helpful, but they sound like they're going to be the points that you develop in the supporting part of the speech. I've got to be honest with you, I'm getting lost between some of the terminology on a pretty regular basis. I don't, maybe everybody else understands all this stuff. I have no clue on some of the things that you're talking about because I just don't play the games, I don't know. So you're talking about these skins that don't cost much, but that's what people are gambling on. I'm going,
I was trying to define that as the
yeah, like I said, I know that there's an explanation, but I got to tell you, I didn't understand what it was. So apparently people buy stuff and then they lose it during the game or they win it during the game, and that's the thing that makes it gambling. That's kind of the inference that I'm making, and I just didn't think it was very clear. I'm still trying to figure out how somebody, like you said, who's 16 could be gambling. If it's all just virtual currency and I don't have to put up any money, why do I care? Except that apparently there's an advertising thing, but if the only thing they're advertising is this game where I don't have to put up any real money, again, why do I care? there's got to be a clearer explanation about what's going on here. Somebody that, I mean, you said it's worth $84 million. They're making $40,000 a day, and I'm still trying to figure out how do they get $40,000 a day if it's virtual currency and nobody. But you're saying they're buying something, and that's, I think, where there's part of the explanation that needs to be a little bit clearer. At the end of the speech in the last section, you sounded like you were citing your information a little bit more consistently. You had some online competitors or some websites that use these use the game or develop the game or present the game or something along that, who talk about how they see it as being troubling or problematic. I think you needed more of that earlier in the speech to kind of figure out, you know, why it is that we see this as a particular problem. You sound like you think you need another 10 minutes to explain everything yourself, so I'm not telling you anything that you apparently don't already know. All right, I'm going to stop it there. Where's the time here? Yeah, I can't put in another speech at this time. I'm going to have to roll you over, but I'm going to need to have your material before you go. That's going to be an issue. All right.